If this episode could be sponsored by a player, it would be sponsored by Nick Bosa. The 49ers just got a very promising report, and it's thanks in part to Nick Bosa. I'm going to tell you all about it in this episode. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content. I got a question for you, though. I got to jump straight into this question because it's offensive line related, so it's similar to kind of what some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today, but also, it's fascinating. What are the 49ers going to do with Colton McKivitz? And before you jump to conclusions based off of 2023, based off of the Super Bowl performance, based off of any one moment that made you feel a certain way about Colton McKivitz, just remember that he turned into a better player last year. And there's even more data to suggest that this year might be even better. And we'll talk about that in this episode, plus Trent Williams update, plus other stuff like that. But before we get to all that, just let me know in the comments what you think about whether or not we should sign Colton McKivitz to a deal now before the opportunity. Here's the bright side, okay? The bright side of signing Colton McKivitz right now to a contract extension is you secure an offensive tackle position for a while. And there's a question mark around the aging Trent Williams, and you never really know until it happens. I think so many quarterbacks like Brett Favre and Peyton Manning and guys that just when it happened fast. And all of a sudden they didn't have what they once had. And in the NFL, you get found out really quickly when you're just one notch below the level that is required in the league. And I would just like to believe that Trent Williams still has several years left in him, but I know that we won't know until that moment hits. It could happen anytime where we could be seeing kind of the decline of Trent Williams. And he's a Hall of Fame offensive tackle. I would like for him to be a 49er as long as humanly possible. But the reality is, if Colton McKivitz goes this next upcoming offseason and Trent Williams also hits that decline at some point in the next year, then you're definitely going to be really concerned about your offensive tackle position going forward. And the 49ers are going to have to shell out some big dollars no matter what they do, because they're not going to draft two starting offensive tackles in one draft. So the 49ers are going to make some moves. It's going to have to happen. And you'd love to see a promote from within. You'd look at a guy like Dominic Purdy and you'd say, hey, man, he did it. He did it in college. He can do it. He's played basically all four positions, both guard and tackle positions in college with Kansas. But I don't think that really translates the same. You know, everyone has said from the very beginning Dominic Purdy is a guard because of his size, and that's going to just hold him back. And so I'm not trying to tell Dominic Purdy what he's capable of and what he's not, but it definitely isn't the ideal scenario to plan for. So I'm with Johnny Dell right here. I'm just going to agree with Johnny Dell and say I wouldn't be opposed to re-signing McKivitz preemptively. They'll need to address tackle at some point in the draft, but it allows them to address one or the other as the draft classes pan out. And I think if you can lock down one and say, you know what, if we can keep getting this kind of play out of Colton McKivitz, we can live with that. And I think that's the way the 49ers handle their offensive line, if I'm not mistaken. That is very Kyle Shanahan to just say, if we can make it work with these guys, we're going to make it work with these guys. And they're going to try and put their draft capital and their money in other places. So, that's how I would like to see it get done. I know that Colton McKivitz isn't the best offensive tackle in the league, but you saw what Aaron Banks got. You saw what Jalen Moore got from the Kansas City Chiefs. These guys are expensive. And you let this guy go out there and prove what I think he's going to do is improve from last year. You let him improve another season, and you're going to be looking at a guy who's going to be able to get money from somebody that's going to be far and way beyond what the 49ers are going to be willing to pay. So I'd say this is a golden opportunity to sign Colton McKivitz. But let's get into some of the information that I'm pulling off of when I say Colton is very possibly going to hit another level this upcoming season. So obviously, I don't think I need to convince you, but if you aren't convinced, Colton McKivitz did make a step up in 2024. He still had mistakes. Every player does. It's hard to look at a player and see especially at the tackle position, when it feels like an open door, when it feels like you absolutely blew it on that play. And it's the type of play similar to a goalkeeper in soccer where you make one mistake and it's a huge, huge impact on a game. You really have to be at your best. You cannot make big mistakes. Anyway, all that being said, Matt Maiocco had a great article about Colton McKivitz, and I wanted to give a little bit of credit. I'm actually going to start with a quote from the end of the article, but we'll get to some of the other stuff Matt Maiocco had to say about Colton McKivitz. I'm going to be a Pro Bowler this year. I've told countless people. I'm just putting it out there just because that's going to hold me accountable and get me to where I want to go. If you don't fight for it, you won't get it. If you've never heard something like this, this is like the whole CrossFit mentality, right? You're going to go on social media and you're going to post a picture every single day, and just like that is going to hold you accountable because you make a commitment and you say you're going to do it out loud and people see it and people know it. And then you have to live up to that expectation. And it's not a bad strategy. So Colton's out there saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler this year and he's going to go with that mentality to go earn it. That is not the whole reason. But quick commentary just on that statement alone. Sterling Bennett saying McKivitz looks a lot better in training camp. The offensive line has certainly struggled, especially with guarding Bosa, but McKivitz is a standout right now. And that's kind of where I was getting at in the early intro of this episode, that Nick Bosa is the MVP of improving our offensive line this year. We've heard it from everybody. We always do. But this year, you're getting a Trent Williams early in camp. You're getting him really engaged, even in OTAs. That's Trent Williams and Nick Bosa. Did you hear me say Trent Williams and Nick Bosa in OTAs, in training camp from day one? These guys are getting after it. And Nick Bosa has clearly shown up ready to destroy the offensive line. He's been standing out, and it's been really, really good for this offensive line. One of the guys who perhaps has done the best, I've seen some people say he's done the best, at guarding Nick Bosa or holding back Nick Bosa so far in this early days of training camp has been Colton McKivitz, which is something worth paying attention to because that is not an easy task. Good for Colton McKivitz, restating he wants to be a Pro Bowler. He made a prolific jump last season from the cellar to the top half of right tackles in some metrics. Who's to say that McKivitz can't continue improving, especially considering the fact that he's already made big strides? And I'd agree with that. I think you're absolutely right. He's getting toward the end of his rookie contract. He's got to do this soon. Here's a quote from the article, Matt Maiocco, NBC Sports Bay Area. A key word that I'm using this year is fight. I do a lot better when things are kind of hectic and in chaos and when I'm fighting for something. I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to make things a little more chaotic. He went into details, actually, talked about taking his shirt off and forcing himself to look at himself in the mirror every day and doing workouts shirtless so that if he doesn't like what he sees, he has to do something about it. I mean, that's the kind of mentality McKivitz has taken in this year. Why? I don't know. I could think of like 35 million reasons in the next couple seasons why he might be taking it very seriously at this exact moment in time. Because if he goes into this contract year and he goes and absolutely destroys this season and puts on a real performance and has the best season of his life, he will have timed it to absolute perfection. Chef's kiss, or whatever you want to say, of incredible money is going to be flowing into his bank account from some football team next offseason. That's going to happen. That could very well happen. There's no motivation like the motivation for a new contract. We've seen players like Deebo Samuel, 2021, have an absolute monster season, look like one of the best players the NFL has ever seen, one of the single greatest individual performances across the season we've ever seen, looks completely unstoppable, unbelievable, untackleable. I mean, this guy was incredible. Gets his big money, drops off a little bit, that happens. So is that motivation valuable? I'd say if you can look at the drop off and see how players after contracts get done underperform so frequently in the NFL, I would argue that would also suggest that what they do to get to that level, Brandon Aiyuk's another good example, what they do to get to that level is something that is worth paying attention to. Like, it's legit. It's not me blowing smoke. I'm not just saying because there's money on the line, he's going to have a great season. There have also been players who would be the non-example of that, who have been in this exact position and have not had a great season. So it's no guarantee of anything, but I'm just saying it's interesting. McKivitz, who turns 29 on August 9th, enters his third season as the 49ers unchallenged starter at the right tackle. He's in fight for his next contract. Sure, he is fighting for a contract, but he is also fighting for so much more. With everything in life, when things get hard, don't quit. Fight through it. Persevere. But then fight for more. Don't get complacent. I mean, I saw what happened when I got complacent. 4 years ago, I got cut. And for me, that has always been a kind of thing that haunted me. But now it's something that I'm using as I move forward. You can get pretty jaded, McKivitz said. You can think, they don't want me. Where does that sound familiar? Brandon Aiyuk, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to be here. I hate this place and get mad at people. And that was me for a couple of weeks. And then I turned into, I get to go against Bosa every day. And I can use him to help forge me into a better player. That is the exact right attitude. McKivitz is coming off of a season in which he allowed just 2 quarterback sacks while starting all 17 games. PFF graded him tied for 12th among all NFL right tackles. Coincidentally, his grade was the same as McGlinchey, who left the 49ers in 2023 to sign with the Denver Broncos on a contract that pays him an average salary of $17.5 million. Sometimes I'm disappointed about that move. We're going to move off from McKivitz here, but let me know in the comments what you think about all of that. Big Trent has been upstaged, quote unquote. There's been several people talking about it. I am not even the least bit concerned about Trent Williams' health. I think, if anything, we should be positive about Trent Williams showing up to camp, being present, being here, and having what some might fear is a bad day. If that's the case, then great. I would love to see what happens to Trent Williams when he shows up early to OTAs, to training camp, and is angry. Yeah, so watch out. I would not make any strong judgments on Trent Williams just yet. But Trent Williams showing frustration during practice. Here's what Matt Barrows had to say about Trent Williams showing frustration. Nick Bosa is beating Trent Williams a lot of the time. Trent Williams yesterday had a big reaction after a move the ball period that was dominated by Nick Bosa. And the offense was stopped by Nick Bosa. Trent Williams came off the field and was exasperated, banging his thigh. You could tell he was frustrated. I think this is great for the team. I think that's going to push Trent Williams to get better and be better throughout training camp, and he's going to be Trent Williams by the time September rolls around. I hate to use the iron sharpens iron saying, but that's definitely what's happening in this camp. Why do you hate using iron sharpens iron? That's literally in the Bible. It's like 2,000 years old or something like that. Like, come on, there's nothing wrong with that phrase. Don't be afraid of it. But that's definitely what's happening in this camp, and I absolutely love it. I love hearing that players are getting frustrated. I love that there's little scuffles. Like, that's what we were missing last year, that we were totally missing that last year. Kevin Molina had an interesting point here saying seemingly have a truly motivated Bosa this offseason. Been far more involved at the facility during the spring and summer. Plus, this is probably the most that Trent has worked during camp since he's been in San Francisco. Both will be better for what is happening right now. Could not agree anymore. If you didn't see it, I'll give you the quick notes on it. Spencer Burford got a restructured contract, basically just giving him more in guarantees. Doesn't really say anything other than the 49ers plan to use him this year, but I don't know that he's going to be a starter. We'll have to wait and see. He's definitely going to be fighting to earn it. Hopefully giving him a contract gives him a little bit of an extra step, because I do feel like Spencer Burford's only one big step away from being able to play like in that left guard position if Ben Bartch is not healthy. And I say if Ben Bartch, and Ben Bartch himself has only played a handful of snaps in the NFL. But I would love to see Spencer Burford just take that one little step up. I think it would be good for us. Absolutely. We're 10 days away from the Denver Broncos playing against the San Francisco 49ers in preseason football. I believe I'm saying that today's Wednesday, so tomorrow is the Hall of Fame game. So we're actually going to have some real football on TV, even though it's a Hall of Fame game. And, Trey Lance is going to be out there. That's going to be interesting. A lot of people saying Trey Lance is going to be able to figure it out with Jim Harbaugh in the same way that Jim Harbaugh figured out Alex Smith. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Revived Smith's career for sure. Can he revive Trey Lance's career? He'll get the opportunity in the Hall of Fame game to be in front of everybody. We'll have to wait and see how that all plays out, of course. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing, for liking these videos, for commenting below. Look forward to seeing what your thoughts are. I'm still with you, by the way. For those of you that are commenting, you're still listening. I hope you're listening. Good for you. But those of you that are still commenting and saying, like, let's bring in more offensive linemen, I feel you. I think we're undervaluing a few guys like Hennessy and stuff, but I'm with you, though, that I would love to see the 49ers take their offensive line more seriously. I just don't see it happening. Realistically, I don't think it's going to happen. I like the idea for sure. I would love to see that position grouping. I think there's space on the position in the left guard position, for example, for us an upgrade. I think the 49ers are going to try to save a little money there. So, I get it. Jake Brendel had a lot of people concerned last year, understandably, myself included, and I don't think he's going anywhere. So there's a balance between the conversation we're having on this channel all the time of like, what is realistic to get done, what's actually going to happen, and what would be nice. And what would be nice is for us to have the best player at every position in the NFL. That's not ever going to happen. So, we'll do the best we can with what we got for now. Appreciate you guys. I cannot wait to talk to you tomorrow. And that'll be around the time I'm assuming the Hall of Fame game will be on. So it'll be actual football on the TV. That'll be awesome. Appreciate you guys. Have a good night.